right now we're going to pop over to Greg Bray. He's with us tonight, and we are going to, let me see if I can, try and see if I can find him on the list here.
Got me? I thought.
If you have questions or whatever, you can ask them at the end of the demo. If you need a little help or explanation, you can ask me at the end of the demo. But it's Dave's demo. I want to see how Dave does this. I don't want to see how David would do this. I want to see how Bray will do this. So let's get to it. What's your turn tonight, sir?
Okay, what we're going to do tonight, here about a month ago, we was talking in the meeting about doing some lasers on hollowing, and that's what we're going to do tonight. I've got a base on the lathe now, and this is some of them that is, we're going to do. This one was out of white oak. I might have showed this one before. I had several out of white oak, and then here was another one out of white oak. Oh,
that's cool.
And it's something a little bit different. And then here you can, with these tools that I got, using a 5/8 diameter cutting tool, I did one like this, and of course I paint pictures on them. And then let me take a measurement of this one and give you an idea with the 5/8. And this one's about 9 1/4 inches long. So with the 5/8 tools, I did one like this. Now it was a little bit tough, and this was probably stretching it a little bit with the 5/8. So you would actually should probably go up to about a 3/4 inch diameter cutting tool. And then the bigger, if you want to go bigger than that, you can go up to a 1 inch bar. But I kind of stay on the small end. This is probably one of the biggest ones I do. This right here is one I just did the day before yesterday. This is a piece of box elder. It was actually right above the one that on the tree, that the one we're going to do tonight. I've got a whole bunch of box elder right now, so that's what I'll be turning for a while now, especially all the Christmas gifts. And so this was a very good turn, and that's kind of what we're going to do tonight. I've got one that I've already roughed out. What I do is I will take and put a log like this between centers, and then I will actually rough shape this thing out and get a look at the wood and determine which one I want the top or bottom. At that point, then I will put a tenon on there, and once I put the tenon on there, then I will put it in the chuck. Now, that's where we are right now as far as the on the lathe. So let me switch cameras, and here's what we got. I've already turned this in between centers. I put my tenon on there, and then right now I've got it rough. I got it roughed out, and I will rough it out almost to the point that I like before I put it in my chuck. It just, I've already got it in that position. It's just easier to do that way. So the first thing I'm going to do is go, since I flipped it around, I'm going to go and make this outside part in the shape that I want. And then once we get to this, and then I might sand a little bit on this. I doubt it if I'd sand very much in the demo. But then we're going to come down here and we're going to hollow the inside of this out using a hollowing system. And there's many different hollowing systems out here. I'm not out. It don't matter which one I've got, but the one that I do use is a Trent Bosch. I've used Lyle Jameson. I've used Tim Yoder's. I've used several different hollowing systems in the past. This is just the one I landed on. They all work well. So let me go on and get this started up. I think cameras are very good right now. And if y'all got any questions or anything, we'll answer them. And let me get started. First thing I'm going to do is put my face shield on. I'm using a bow gouge for the rest of this on the outside. And right now I want to focus on smoothing this all out. And if you are cutting with the bevel and sliding through I want to show you using this right here. This is a little aid that I used in teaching that it shows you which way the grain's going. And if I take this tool and I'm on the outside down, and if I start out here where the big part of the vase is, and I'm going down, you can see these black lines are the little straws that run up and down the wood that you can tell that I am laying the fibers of this wood down. So on the inside, it goes reverse. You can tell if you was on the inside of this and was cutting. Let me grab a hollowing tool. If I was on the inside cutting, I would be laying these black fibers along this line right here. So I would actually get a smoother cut if I cut downward until the biggest part of the vase. Once you get there, then if you look at this black line on the red right there, if I'm cutting up, I'm going to be laying down the fibers that way. So you always want to pay attention to which way you're laying them fibers down to get less tear out. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay. I always like to use this, especially when I'm teaching classes, is because it really gives them a visual on which way the grain's going and which way you're cutting. So this does help. Once we get to the inside, we are going to hollow this out. See, can you see that? And we're going to drill a hole all the way to the depth that we need. And then that is section, that's the first step. Now on my smaller vases, I do it in 3 steps. If my bigger vases, I would do it in 5 steps. I would go 1, and then I'm going to hollow out 2 right here. And then I will hollow out 3 right here. And get my wall thickness all the same as we go down, just like that. You know, so when I'm doing a larger vase, I would go 2 and 3, and then out here would be like 4 and 5 as I hollowed it out. So I would break it up a little bit on bigger vases. So that's what we'll be doing on the inside. Now we'll get started. Let's turn this lathe on. Get my face shield down. I always want to turn my lathe to 0 and then pull the knob and gear it up. And I always want to increase the speed because anytime I start the lathe up, I want to know what that speed is. So if I get in the habit of turning it to 0, I know I'm starting at 0 and then I can work up. And actually, I'm going to turn it up around 1,000 RPMs. And using a sharp tool, now, if I could lay these bevels down, and I want to slice through the fibers of this wood, I can clean this right up. One more pass. I'll look at it. And you can tell if you're sliding that bevel across there, I don't have any tear out at all in that. Got one little bitty tool mark there. So I'll come back and get it out. Okay. Now I want to come and I will work on this top side. Yep. One more cut. Okay. Now work on the crown. This thing right here, I like to put the biggest part about 1/3 down. And if you'll break it up and put it in everything you do in thirds, it's more eye appealing when people look at it. Okay, I'm going to change the mouth a little bit. And I'm going to come and I'm going to put a little bit of a lip on it. Just like that. I kind of like that. Okay. Shut it off and we'll look at it. It's pretty good. Got a little bit of a tear out right there I need to clean up. So I'll come back. That looks good. Okay. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time sanding on this, but one thing I would do right now is that I would put some lacquer sanding sealer and acetone on this. Anytime I'm turning green wood, this is something that really helps. Plus, you get to see what the wood's going to show you as far as the character in it. And I mix this 50-50. It's lacquer sanding sealer and acetone, 50-50. And if you got some punky wood or do have some tear out, this will stiffen up those fibers and it will help you clean them up. That's not a bad looking piece. It's not a lot of character in it as far as the one that come right above it, but it'll work. And I'll turn the lathe down real slow. And just let it dry. It won't take but a few seconds to dry here. Let it spin there a second. What happens is this lacquer sanding sealer will fill them pores up. If you had to put some super glue on, especially on light colored wood, to fill up some cracks and voids, and you got a run or something up on the wood, this lacquer sanding sealer will keep from staining the wood. So it really, really helps. The acetone actually will help start drying this piece of wood, and it would actually suck some of the moisture out as it evaporates. And I usually sand with a small drill, just like this. Yeah, that looks pretty good, actually. Okay. And I would spend a little bit more time sanding this if I was just doing this for, outside of a demo. But right now we want to take this and we want to back everything out of the way. And I do want to take and I want to double check my chuck. And I always check both sides. That's just a habit I got into. Some people say that you don't have to, but if I turn this side and I spin it over and I turn it some more, it tells me that I should do both sides. So let me find my. I'm going to make a little bit of a dimple down in here on my drill bit. Speed going up. Okay, you get a whole lot cleaner to cut if you slice across those straws running through that vase. So now, let me take this lower tool down a little bit. If I can get this thing to work. One second.
If you're just joining us members, this is Greg Bray. He is turning a piece for us, and he will be doing it with a hollowing rig. Show us a little bit about how to empty that out. Boys, that box elder got some gorgeous grain in it, or what? He's already shaped the outside by slicing cuts and applied a sealer. Here we go, Greg.
Okay. This up a little bit. We'll get my tape off. Slide it down a little bit. Get it marked so I know how deep to go. Now the tool that I used there was what we call a gun drill, and it has air blowing through it, and it blows the shavings out as you drill down through there. Pretty simple to use. Make sure my camera is not going to hit. I think I'm going to be able to clear it. Let me get there. That's it. There we go. Does it look all right to you all? Okay, I want to explain something. I got three different types of tools here. This is the straight tool. Then I also got two other tools, these crook neck tools. And what these are is to get in around the rim here as we get it open. Sometimes if I can make it all work with the straight tool, that's what I do. I only use these if I need to get around that. Once I get away from the neck of the vase, then I will switch back to my straight tool if I use one of those. So let's start her up. Make sure everything's tightened down. The speed going back up. check this off. Let me get y'all a little bit more light in there, and you see what I'm doing. Does that help?
It's a lot of light. They're gonna do all right.
Okay. My hand in the way. And it don't take much pressure. It don't take much pressure at all to clean this up. Okay, that's what's going to be going on this camera. Now, I'm going to turn the laser on, and we're going to switch back to camera number 1, and that is going to give you this. Now, I want to back out of here and show you all how to set this up. What I do is it comes with this little gauge here. And I want you to determine where the laser is. Can y'all see that? Where the laser is. And that is how far much I want to cut. So each little ring that you see on there is 1/8 of an inch. I usually like to do it maybe 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit less. But you got to remember that this laser is this angle from that tip. So as I'm on the inside and determine which angle that this shaft is going in there is how I'm approaching the wood on the inside. So I don't want to set the laser down here off the tip if I'm working over on this left-hand side. So this is how I set it up. Then you got these little Allen wrenches that I can go in here and I can move this little laser around a little bit, just like that. Did y'all see that move?
Yes.
Okay. And then I can actually set this exactly where I want. And I know that when I'm cutting on the inside here, let's take and put this inside the vase. I want to blow this thing out while I got it off. Okay, now, off camera, can you see that? Okay, can y'all see the little light on top?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now that's going to help us determine how thick this wall is as we're cutting it. So it kind of takes some of the guesswork out. So let's get started again. So y'all can follow my tip as I turn. Yeah, you see that? You see the light? You see the light on it? I think we got this flipped around maybe. But that light right there, it determines when that light falls off of this piece of wood, I know I'm at a quarter of an inch approximately. So that's what I'm doing. Let me switch places. Now I'm down to where on the inside where the big part is. So now we're coming back up. So what I'm doing now in that little diagram I showed you, I'm working on step number 2. Number 1 was we drilled the hole, and step number 2 is I want to take this down about halfway. And when you got a real wet piece of wood, if you will work your wall thickness down as from the top, as that base shrinks and stuff, it'll move on you a little bit. You don't have as much problem. You get the wall thickness as you go down. Okay, as I get away from this vase, I'm going to take this pin and I'm putting it in there. And so now I can get a little bit of leverage from this from that pin. And plus, I'm going to put the longer handle on there. Like that. So now I'm going to way down and step number 3. Yeah, I can pull it right up the pin in order to okay, let's stop this way, and I'm going to blow this out again. We're getting a lot of shavings down in there.
Okay, I'm pulling it out, and what I'm doing is checking to see where my tip is in conjunction with the laser as I go toward the bottom. So the laser is actually a little bit, just a fraction away from the tip of that Okay, let's roll it out again. And we're right on the edge of that vase. Press it down. This is a rough cut on the inside. And I'm all the way down to the bottom to the depth I need. So what I'm going to do now is I've got another little tool, and it's a scraper. I'm going to take this scraper and just clean the sides up. So let me take this handle off. Turn that laser off just to change your batteries. That's one thing that I don't like about the laser. If you leave that thing on, the batteries run out. And I've left it on a few times. So come back and it's burned out, and I said, what in the world's wrong? So now I want you to turn my laser back on and just kind of get it lined up to this scraper. I'm going to put the scraper right on the edge, just like that. And I want that tilted down a little bit. We're going to put the handle back on. Okay. I'm going to start at the top. I'm going right to the biggest part. Now I'm going to start at the bottom. Might be all it takes. Stop and look at it. Blow it out again. Okay, we'll take that other camera and let you peek down inside of it. And that's got a pretty good finish on the inside with the scraper. Now, I will sand these if I can't get my hand down in there and some tools. I will sand these all the way out. A lot of times I'll have just a little bitty opening in there, and I'll sand where a wood turner can get his finger in there because he's going to feel of it, but nobody else would notice it. A lot of times I will paint the insides of my vases black. That way, you know, you can't really see down in there. They're interested in the outside. My holes are so small that, you know, the inside is kind of minute. So you just kind of do whatever you want to do with it, you know, and you can spend as much time sanding as you want. Okay. Let's switch back to one for right now. I've got my grandson here helping me, and if it wasn't for him, he's the cameraman. Yeah, he just works it all up, gets it all set up, and I just come and do this part.
That's a safe way to do it, getting the grandchildren in there.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it when it comes to technology. So I'm going to take and
Sounds pretty smart to me.
turn this on, and I'm going to slow the lathe down, and I'm just going to stand right around the rim here with my hand. I'm not going to finish this vase. This is just one for the demo. I might spray it sometime and finish the outside. I might sand the inside a little bit more, but and just give it to some little kid. They would enjoy some of this stuff. So yeah, and that looks really good. You take my. Yeah, it could stand a little bit more sanding down there, but I'm not going to spend the time sanding. And so that's how I go about hollowing these out. I've done it for years by hand, and about 3 years, well, it's been about 4 years ago, I had a shoulder surgery. And I tell you what, it was a long time before I got back in the shop to turn anything. And especially at that time, I had a lot of urns to make, and I was getting behind. And so I had to have something to help me. So I started searching and trying to determine which one I wanted to buy. I had an old one somewhere around here that it worked all right. But this model here is Trent Bosch, and he makes all good tools. John Jordan's got some good cutting tools for hollowing, and I mean, Lyle Jamieson's system is very good. I've used it, and I almost bought his, but you know, I'm not. You know, they all do a good job. They got one thing out there outside of the laser. The next step up is called the visualizer, and you got a monitor, and you can actually tell on the monitor, watch the monitor as you hollow out the inside. And it is a very, very good setup, but it's also expensive. But this helped me in that time with the shoulder surgery. It took all the pressure off my shoulder as far as hollowing on the inside. And I really like it. It was a very, very good investment for me. You know, couple, you know, one urn to pay for it, you know, especially, you know, some of the bigger urns that you turn. Now, is there any questions anybody got?
Okay, come on, members, step up.
Anybody?
Huh?
Do you ever
See,
use,
that was interesting.
do you ever use that with side grain, or is it just end grain?
I have used it with side grain, and it works. You just got to take your time with it. End grain is a little bit easier. You just got to remember with side grain, you got to remember which way the grain is going. I've done some vases where the fifth is running through the middle of the vase, and hollowed them out with this system. And you know, it gets a little bit rough sometimes, but you can do it.
Was the purpose of thinning the lacquer sanding sealer with acetone just to make it dry faster?
Well, it's also stiffening up the fibers of the wood. If you got a piece of wood that's real funky, and this one here was a little bit, it stiffens those fibers up as you start sanding. It just makes the sanding process a little bit better. But the key to it is getting a good smooth cut off of your tool so you don't have that tear out.
Right.
So if you slide that bevel across the face of that wood, and I say slide, you don't want to push in, you want to slide it across the face of the wood, and you will get a smooth cut with very minimum amount of tear out. The tear out, is just very hard to sand out. Just like I think Captain mentioned that earlier at the start of the show about, just you're gonna have to go back to your bow gouge and actually just slice those fibers off, and it cuts sanding down to a minimum. And the lacquer sanding sealer mixture, I've used this for probably 15, 20 years. And it helps dry that vase out a little bit. Once I get them off the lathe, I will put them back down in some sawdust, wet shavings, if it's a real wet vase, and let them dry out in there for about a couple of weeks. Open the bag up after a week and just mix it around a little bit. What happens is that I think, in my mind, is that them shavings pull the moisture out of that wood, and the brown paper bag is pulling the moisture out of the shavings. So it dries out in about 2 weeks, and then I'll let it set up and air dry. Of course, after that, you can go and finish it out the way you want it. I do lacquer spray most of my vases. This last vase that I did the other day, I tried something different. I finished it, put some the Parfex 3408 on it, and then I come back and sprayed it with lacquer afterwards. I like that. I think the Parfex is going to stabilize that wet wood. This wood has been down a while. It's not real soft and wet, but I think it was going to take and pull the rest of the moisture out of that, and that Parfex glue just kind of stabilizes that wood. I sprayed this with lacquer just yesterday, and the finish is really, really. I'm really satisfied with the finish on this. I probably wouldn't have had to spray it, but I've been spraying lacquer for years, and it's kind of hard to break away from that. If I buffed it with the Vonex, it would probably come out just as shiny. That would be a question I'd have for you all, because I haven't played with that Parfex that much. Good question. Anything else?
Can you back the camera up a little bit and show us the tool you had there, the arm?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, right here.
Yeah, there you go. Sure.
How's that?
Yeah, that looks good.
You see, it's got the laser up here, and you can see the laser right there on my hand.
Yeah.
And that comes down to the point of the tool. It's a very good setup, and it's a solid setup. I've been really pleased with this. It's and I looked at a lot of them. One of the kicker from my little mind is that it fit in my banjo and it was solid. I like that part of it, and that's one of the reasons why I went with this, because I had used one of a friend's, and then I watched several videos on this, and this thing is pivot back and forth, the arm, and I like the pin with the leverage on it. You can move it in different places. You don't have to move your tool rest. Once you got this thing set up, you're good to go. The next thing I would do is that I would actually come in here and I would get me my distinct bottom, and I would reverse chuck this and jam chuck it and cut that bottom off. I think we seen somebody do that here a while back. Dean Grimes has got a really good video as far as making a jam chuck to get these tendons off the bottom of them. Any other questions?
Great demo. Thank you, Bray.
Thank you.
Hey, can you show us your shop?
It's a mess, but I can show it to
Excellent
you.
video. Excellent demo.
Here, we're kind of, because of camera and cords and stuff, we're kind of boxed in here. Let me have-
A whole lot of information for sure.
Of course, I just moved in here about the time I hurt my shoulder, and my dad passed away, so I had all his tools, which was his tool in his shop. But he always said, one of these days, all these tools will be yours. And he was right, because as we wore his out, we replaced them with mine. Because I grew up in the cabin. You know, I turned my first rocking chair when I was 13 years old. So I've been around this for a long time. Here's my Laguna bandsaw and the Performax sander. And right now I'm building some kitchen cabinets for my house. And I got another little lathe right here. And this is my Bill bucking system is set up on it. Of course, I got my planer right here. And I got another Delta lathe. This is one I do most of my spindle work on. Of course, over here, I've got the table saw, which is a mess right now. All this wood on the side of the shop, I was in the process of putting this up when I hurt my shoulder. And this pile of wood right down here under this mess was supposed to be around the rest of this shop, but I never did get to it because of my shoulder. And then I've got a bunch of frontage stock back over here. And then I got a bunch of burls. And this is an old cart used in a cabinet shop that on wheels, and I put a shelf on it, and I can move it around. It's not in my way. When I'm planing a lot of wood, I can come over here and just move it out of my way. And I really like the cart because it really gives me a lot more room when I'm doing some flat work. So that's kind of my setup of the shop. I am playing around. I'll show you one thing I turned yesterday. And I'm getting ready to do these for a store. And it's a little snowman wearing a coonskin cap, holding a knife, and this is going to a knife shop. I got to come up with something different on the hat. I'm not really pleased with the hat, and I'll come up with something, but he wants to sell these in his store. So I'll be coming up with that. There are some more snowmen. This is one of this year's model of Frosty that I've been doing. I do a bunch of these every year. So this was one, they're a little bit dusty right now, but this is the one that was last year's model, throwing a snowball. And that's about it. Here's some smaller bases. These were, I hand turned these.
That's nice.
With big tools. I didn't use small tools, believe it or not. And
Those are nice.
it's a nice set. Here's another one. I think I sold these one time on here, but there's probably some people haven't seen them. But there's the bigger one of the three. And I just keep these around because I like them. And then here's a goblet. So, and that's pretty much my shop, which is a mess. So, any other questions?
I'm good, folks. This has been one great demonstration by Greg, and he did a good Halloween for us and showed us some great tools. A lot of comments in the chat about the tools. I have the JT Tools version of it. I've had an elbow, And I've also built some double knuckles that had their own stand that went on a lathe that adjusted the height, using the 1¼ inch solid square stock. And I had a whole crowd from the club come here one day and do it. If you haven't tried one, go to one of the trade shows, go to a workshop and ask somebody if you can. Once you've used one, you won't be able to do without it. You really can't. Thank you, Greg. It was a fantastic demonstration, sir. Thank you to your grandson for the awesome camera work tonight.
You're welcome. And I got one more thing that I want to show you, and this is a depth gauge. And I used to use it before I got the laser. I used to use this. You know, we're always talking about tools that we make, and this is one that I'll show you how to use it. Let me slide everything back out of the way. And switch cameras here. Let's go back to one. Okay. And, you know, if I can go in here and I can get the depth and I'll lock it down and I come out. Well, I didn't lock it, but, and then I can actually, when you keep it locked there, I can lay it on the top and then I give you the exact depth that I need that my vase is, just like that. And go in there and I can see exactly where my bottom is, especially before I part this off. So that's a good little handy tool right there. And it's simple to make. And that's all I got. And then thank you guys, and be safe.
All right, Greg. Thank you a lot, sir.